You're now listening to the 11:30 podcast. Enjoy the show.
Nasty, hateful, insane nation that exists.
Do everybody, it's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the 11:30 podcast. What's goody, man? How everybody doing out there, man? We made it back here, another week, another episode, man. You know what time it is? It's not 7:30, it's 11:30, man. I'm excited. Another week to talk some crap, man, and have fun here on the podcast, man. If you're watching on YouTube, definitely do me a huge big favor. Definitely hit that subscribe button down below, like it, leave a comment, and do all that great stuff. And don't forget to follow the 11:30 podcast on all social media platforms. And also, if you're listening on Spotify, definitely follow the 11:30 podcast. But you guys, man, this is going to be a very great show. Got a dope guest, you guys, that's going to be joining me here this week. Danielle, she's a comedian, she's an author, you guys, she's a podcast host, she's a life coach. We're going to be chatting with her about everything she got going on. It's going to be really dope. We got the hot seat coming up later on in the show. And also, you guys, man, ahead of my wrestling show returning back this Friday at 1 p.m. After, the break, and also after the huge wrestling event over the weekend, man. I'm gonna be chatting about a little something later on in the show, you guys, man. So stick tight, man. It's gonna be a great one. We ain't gonna waste no more time. We gonna get into it, you guys. Miss Danielle is standing by, you guys, joining me here this week on the 11:30 podcast. Danielle, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for taking the invite, coming here on the 11:30 podcast. It's always great to have new people and awesome people such as yourself here on the platform. How's your day going? I mean, how's everything? How's life treating you?
Life is good as always. I've been doing a lot of interviews lately too, so like for my show as well. So I just been doing that the last 2 days. I took a break for a few weeks of no interviews, and that was nice. But but it's been good getting back into it.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for coming through here on the podcast. You said you took a break. We're back at it, and I'm back from a break. Second episode back from taking a little break over the holidays, spending it, with my newborn. And not newborn now. He's 6 months now, so time is flying with my little one and family time. So it's going well though. But Danielle, this is the first time here on the 11:30 podcast. Tell everyone about yourself.
All right. So I am Danielle Booher, which is one of the worst names you can have as a female comedian, because people boo me before I go up because it's spelled boo her literally. But I am a mom as well. So congratulations to you on your little baby. And I am a nurse, a podcast host, and a life coach, a new life coach. I just started that journey. I'm a speaker and a co-author and all kinds of stuff. I feel like you have to keep busy, and a comedian. And I've taken a break from stand-up, but I use comedy in everything that I do. So I'm not really doing the hustle of 2 to 3 times a week anymore like I was, because everything is just so busy right now.
Okay.
But
Okay, how long you been doing stand-up?
So I started last year in February or March. So
Okay. What got you? Were you always a big comic fan? Comedian. A comedian and want to make people laugh. What kind of inspired you to get it going?
yeah. So I think subconsciously, my brother passed away at 26 years old, but I've always been funny, but he was really fun. And so I didn't even think about the connection to it until his friend commented on my post. Now he's been gone almost 13 years now. And so my friend was like, well, his friend, we have mutual friends. We were 1 year apart, but he said like, "Oh my gosh, your brother would have been so proud," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh yeah," like, but I've always been funny. But when I was little, I was like in his shadow. But I'm older than him. But he was just, back in the day when people joned and did all that, that was him. He was like the king of roasting. I'm not. I'm not a roaster. I like to make more fun of myself than other people. But so I've always been funny. I've always made my patients laugh or my friends or whatever. And I was turning 40. So last year I turned 40 and my boyfriend now is like, "Hey, you've always wanted to do this. You should do it. You've always wanted to do, and I was just like, "Okay." And so I found classes and she's amazing. She was on AGT. Her name is Lace Larrabee and it's in Atlanta. The
Okay.
classes are amazing. It's called Laugh Lab. And so it's just like getting into the scene actually gave me a lot of confidence, and I was scared to speak to everyone. And I don't think I would have became a podcast host if I wouldn't have done
Mhm.
comedy first. Because I was
Okay.
just, yeah, I was scared of everything. I was scared to talk to people, scared to ask things, and now I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that was my next question too. Were you scared, and also how did you handle that? Anxiety and fear too. Going up in front of a large audience and trying to perform. Because I said it multiple times. I was a shy person. I don't know, kind of like me doing the podcast for about 3 years, kind of like broke me out of my shell
Yeah.
and just being more confident. Because yeah, I wasn't the confident type person. I wasn't.
Yeah, it's hard. To be honest,
Hmm.
like Um, it's one of the scariest things that I've really ever done, and the funny thing is I was a single mom. I also had my first kid at 18. Like, I've lived in Baltimore, and so I've seen people get shot at and this and that, but that was scary. Being on stage was, like, one of the most, and so we actually wrote it into my jokes. I don't know if I can cuss, but I can, like, make it non-cussing. So we
Feel free.
actually wrote. Thanks. So I was like saying about how I got up the nerve to get diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety by Dr. TikTok. And I'm so grateful because everything makes me anxious. So she's like, "Well, how does it make you feel?" So I said, "It makes me want to throw up, I'll say crap myself, and pass out." So that became one of my favorite jokes. Like, people loved that joke. And so because I was nervous, I would say stuff like, "Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I have a minute left," or something like that. And so like people would just be like, "Oh," like probably waiting for me to do one of those things. Like, which one is it? And I'm glad that I never did because that's embarrassing. But yeah, that's how it made me feel. And it's just like, with me, it did build confidence because I'm a bigger person. And so there's not a lot of females in the game, to be honest, in my area. There
Mhm.
is a lot more than there was, but so I could do a open mic with all males. And I'm not like the skinny, like, looking female, like, "Ooh, that's not me." So I really didn't get a lot of respect either because they were just like, "Oh, look at this girl." Um
Okay.
but so you have to like command respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be like extra good. And so I was very self-conscious about stuff. And then it got to the point where I was like, who cares? I don't care what they think. No offense. I mean,
Mm,
they're cool. They're all cool. We
yeah.
speak and like we're cool with each other. I'm proud of them. Like, it's like a little, kind of family thing. Like, we're all like proud of each other as a good community, but I'm not trying to be with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to date you. I'm not trying to impress you on like how I look or whatever. So
Yeah.
as long as I can make somebody laugh, who cares about that? And that was really a hard part for me. Was like trying to like, oh, I wore all black usually on stage, like, because it makes you
Okay.
supposedly look slimmer. And so this is my favorite. It's my favorite or one of them. So yeah, so it's just like, and then it got to the point where it's like, who cares? I'm not here. It's not a fashion show, right? It's
Yeah.
it's to make you laugh and make you feel happy and joyful. So, that was really hard too. But it's kind of like, you just get used to it. And again, luckily I haven't like passed out or threw up or anything like that.
Yeah. You kind of like touched on one thing that I was just about to ask you too, being a woman in in comedy, and you're maybe booked for a show, and say you're the only woman and stuff like that, and that pressure that you might have, that you feel like you got to be better than the guys, or come
Mhm.
out there because it's a bunch of guys and maybe you're the only woman and stuff like that. How is that in showbiz? And do you feel like women are getting sort of more opportunities in comedy?
Yeah, so I'm like super blessed because a lot of the females that I know around here, they're like getting big. So like actually my teacher is very close with Dolce Sloan, like super close with her. So
Okay.
they just did a photo shoot and stuff together and she travels with her sometimes. But um so she, like I said, my teacher was on America's Got Talent, and then one of the hosts of the places, one of the comedy clubs here, she was on Tonight Show. And then like my teacher opened up for Eliza Schlesinger, which just did a tour around, and she's killing it. And so, and then like Nikki Glazier, one of the comedians, but like all, like everybody, like Jack, like Sherry Harper now is hosting a show. Like if you look at all of them that are like they're
Mhm.
stepping into their own thing, I'm like so proud of female comedians because it's a different world. And it's like no offense to any men, but I actually made a joke about the men and they thought it was great because I was like, I was going to imitate a man comedian. They're like, do it. I'm like, oh boy. But the thing is, they talk about body parts and things a lot, and some women do too.
Hmm.
See, and so, and being the only woman in the room, if you take things personal, I was uncomfortable at first. I was like, this is a hot mess. Like, I'm not like in a strip club. Like I'm at a, what I'm saying? I'm like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
But then it got to the point where I was like, that's just them. Who cares? It don't affect me. I don't give a crap, whatever. And it's part of the industry, right? So you have to take it as in like, it's a joke. I hope they're not really, because a lot of them were cool as crap. They come up, hey, da, 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 and they were really cool guys. They weren't like that misogynistic. They weren't like what they were on stage. And so, but I think females getting used to that, and there were a lot of females in my class, and we would talk about it, and we'd be like, oh my gosh. But, you know, it did push us to be better and to get better. And then I think like a lot of the female comedians that are raunchy though, they do really well because they can compete on the level of the men because they're all kind of talking about the same. It's like relatable and stuff. So that's the whole thing for females. A lot of men don't relate to female issues. And so that's what they kind of tune out. They kind of like sometimes, because I've asked them, I'm like, hey, y'all need to pay attention. Whoa, blah, blah, blah. They don't feel like it's relatable. And that's the whole thing in comedy is that sometimes you have to adapt and adjust to what your crowd is, and you have to be relatable. And so once you can do that, no matter if it's females, males, whatever gender somebody is, you can reel them in because they can say, oh, yeah, I did that. Or like, oh, so and so, or whatever. And that's the whole thing is finding that. That's the hard part is like finding that thing that can draw somebody in. And then they could feel like, oh, yeah, that pertains to me too. Or my mom, or, my girlfriend, or whatever.
I dig it. I dig it. I like it so much. Yes,
Yeah.
women is making a, like you said, Sherry, has our own show, and so many other women is doing really wonderful now in entertainment and showbiz though, and women has really changed the game. I really really dig it though. If you always wanted to be a comedian growing up though, did everything kind of like that was your dream goal, or
Well,
things
you know
just
what? It's kind of funny. I've had a lot of dreams and like since I was little. Um I always wanted to be an actress and
okay.
like I guess I don't know. I wanted to be like a funny actress, but I really didn't like I loved Eddie Murphy, like Richard Pryor, like that kind of stuff, but I was too like I wasn't supposed to listen to it cuz I was kind of young, but I liked it. It was funny. but
Yeah.
I wanted to be more like an actress and like somebody that made people happy. And I really want to have a TV show still to this point. Like, I feel like I can help so many people and touch so many lives, like having a show. So, but I want to do it funny. So, like, I want to be a comedian. Like, I wanted to when I was little, but it wasn't like as much as I wanted to be an actress or a nurse, which I did become a nurse. And so, I just wanted to make people laugh and smile. So,
Okay, okay. Well, but
mhm.
well, you can still do that show. I can still I believe in you. You know,
Thank
doing the show and
you.
stuff. How did everything come about of being a life coach?
Yeah. So, I actually, again, like everything kind of just last year just went like, bloop, like it was so amazing. Like everything just trickled into each other. Um, so like I said, the comedy really helped with my confidence. And so I like started, and then I was like, okay, well, I can do a podcast because now I feel comfortable speaking to people. So I started the podcast, and my show is called Authentic Points of View. And it's really just about literally everybody's point of view and treating everybody like human beings and not being judgmental and just being very kind and kind of just listening to people and being there for them and knowing we all have something in common and that people are not alone. And so that was the first time I talked about my brother's story. My brother's death was like very tragic and very traumatic as well. So I kind of just started to talk about my life. And so, like, some people it's frowned on, right? Like, so I always joke and say I put my business in the streets, but uh, because of
Yeah.
comedy, I did. I started it already. So, like, even though, comedy, everybody didn't just stream it because I don't post all my stuff, but like on the podcast, I started to share my life, and I joke about how many baby daddies I have and just different things, right? And so so then I was like, you know what? I want to help people. And so actually this real estate guru guy, like this millionaire guy, he said to me, we talked off air and he was like, "Hey, you ever thought about being a life coach?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I always wanted to be one, but I didn't really know how to get into it." And so he said, he joked and said, because my intro actually is me rapping, loosely rapping, okay? And I wrote it. So I wrote it and I rapped it, and then he was like, "A rapping life coach, hey, that's pretty cool." And I was like, "All right." And so then I got certified because I already wanted to do it, but then I started like thinking like, "Oh yeah, I really do want to help people." So I actually got certified in a few different kinds, but um they say you need to narrow down what you want to do, like what your niche is, right? And so I was like, well, I've been in domestic abuse situations. I've been a single mom. I was actually homeless, living in a shelter with when I was pregnant with my second kid, blah, blah, blah. Like I can help so many people. I had the trauma of what happened with my brother. I lost a baby, 25 weeks stillborn while I was at work, by the way, also. I almost
Wow.
died a couple times. So I've been through a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I can help so many people. And then it got to the point where I started looking on social media and everybody was losing someone. The people were just passing away and passing away. And I'd be like, sorry for your loss, sorry for your loss. And I was like, no, I need to help people with grief. So I decided to become a grief and PTSD life coach. Um, just because it's if we get stuck in that trauma and that darkness, and one of the clients says like she's stuck in a hole, it really can make your whole life fall apart. You can, your family, like you can lose your husband, your kids, like she's not to put her on blast, but no one knows who she is, but she was like, even that's what happened with me. It's like her kids are not getting the loving mom that they should. And so my kids were little when my brother died. And I was just shut down, like literally. And that's not okay. And I was a single mom. At least she has a husband, but it's just her husband's going through grief as well. So that's my motivation, is to just help people get through the hard times and kind of shift their mindset. And in life, we can't focus on how the person passed away. We have to focus on the legacy and all the things that they left behind and the impact that they really made on the world. And then when you
Mhm.
do that, you start to find the joy again, and you can tell stories about them, and you can like honor them in so many ways. And then it just makes you feel good.
Mhm. I dig that. I dig that. And I thank you for sharing that so much, because it's not too many people in the world that, we still have in this world and today, such as yourself, just want to help people and be there for people because yes, people experience death and they grieve in so many different ways. And like you said, traumatic and PTSD can very lead you down a dark path though. Well, since you're a life coach, what you think, and because you also love helping people, what you think the biggest um problem or the biggest I want to I don't want to just use any word, but the biggest kind of like reason why um we don't want to we as people don't want to help each other, and we should have more people out there that want to help one another.
Yeah, so I feel like in life sometimes we, and I'm guilty of it too. Like I've been in my own bubble that I forget to like reach out and check on my friends or whatever. And then it's been so long and you're like, "Oh crap, I haven't talked to in a year." So I think that people have better intentions than what it seems, but lots of people get lost in their own situations. And I think that's, normal, but I feel like some people like blatantly will not help anyone, and that's frustrating. They might feel like they're better than them. And no offense, this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I'm an honest person. I feel like in the nursing, well, I am. Okay, so in the nursing industry, no offense, I love nurses. Okay, I'm a nurse. I've been one for almost 9 years, but there's a lot of people in the medical field, I'll say, that might think that they're better than other people, or in any field, maybe. But I don't think that's fair. I think it's terrible because our job is to help people, right? If you have this image of like, oh, I'm better than you, blah, 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 and then you're not coming off genuine and you're not going to help people as much as you should, you're not going to make the impact that you need to. So I feel like sometimes that when people are not helpful, maybe they've never been through really rough stuff in their life and they don't understand how it is to be in a dark place. And that's what's like really cool about, I feel like when you go through trauma and you go through those horrible situations, that it teaches you learn, hopefully, hopefully you learn from it. And then once you grow and you get past because I was in a dark place myself and I almost dropped out of college and everything, but I wanted to give my boys a better life. So once I got to the point where I was like, hey, let me get on about my business, and really I need to raise them and make them have a good life. And yeah, this stuff is happening, but that's not their fault, right? So
Yeah.
so you have to have a different mindset. That's a whole thing. Like, and you have to forgive. And I think a lot of people have a really hard time forgiving, and so they don't want to help people because they're like, sometimes it can make you bitter. It can make you angry. Like all those stages of grief, and grieving's not only from death, that's like the main reason that we think of. It could be from lots of stuff. I've had patients that had to get their leg amputated, and seeing them grieve from that broke my heart. Because I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, well, how would I adjust to that, And I think that that's part of the problem is that we don't put each other. And that's why I like, again, shameless plug, I'm sorry, but Authentic Points of View, I like that name because if you put yourself in somebody else's point of view or perspective, if you think about it from their situation, then we'll be more loving and more empathetic and have more understanding instead of judgment. And I think that's what it is. Just a lot of people have judgment, and that's why they might not help like we should. Even smiling helps. Even holding a door open helps. Even saying, how are you today helps. You don't understand what people are going through. Mental health is real. Like, it's a real issue.
Yeah.
And that, I'm sorry, I'm passionate about it because, yeah, like I heard my brother, I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I'm sorry, but I heard my brother commit suicide. I was on the phone when it happened. So hearing something like that, and just the words and the things that he was saying gives me an inside look, behind the scenes look of a real psychotic break. And it's real. Like people don't get how real it is, but that was not my brother. That didn't sound like my brother. The words he was saying, he was repeating himself. He couldn't hear me. He was like in a zone. And so when you go through something like that and you experience something and you're like, oh my gosh, when you see somebody walking down the street talking to themselves, don't be mean to them. You might push them the wrong way. You want to be loving. Everybody goes through something. Just because somebody gets on drugs or starts having, mental issues, that's when they need people the most. They don't
Mhm.
need to be criticized and treated horribly. We're all humans. We can all go through that. You never know. One thing could push us like to that. So,
Mhm. I appreciate you for sharing that. That is real powerful, and I think we as human beings do have the tendency to judge others and may think we on a higher level or sitting on this imaginary pedestal and just trying to look down and not help one another. And I think if we did, I think the world would be a better place. You mentioned one thing about, and I can definitely see that because I went through a situation with some nurses, and I felt like that. But why do you feel as though the nurses feel like they just better than sort of you, I guess,
uh
or others?
You know, I can't say it's all of them, so I would just want to clarify that.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
nurses,
What's
and it's a really
yeah.
hard job. Okay, I just want to also clarify that, and we all have bad days. I've had bad
Mhm.
days. I had somebody send me in and say this stuff about that I didn't even say, but whatever. I made them upset, and so that upsetted me. So I was like, "What?" Because I love people,
Yeah,
but we all have bad days, right? We all have situations where you just want to, like in nursing, like say I'm trying to save a life. And if I have another patient beside, I might not be the most patient that I should be or the most kind because I'm in a crisis situation, right? So there's times like that. And then there's times where people are just always like that, right? They're always like
yeah.
snooty and a butthead and not caring and they don't want to be there and provide and stuff. And that's horrible. And I don't know if it's again, maybe they haven't been through something like really rough in their lives. What's so funny? And again, I'm so sorry. I love you guys, nurses, but this is just me talking. And so many of them are talking about their housekeepers and their this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, good for you guys. Uh, I've never had one in my life. But so it's different backgrounds and different situations and different, whatevers. And I've had like this one nurse, she treated, and again, I know this is going to sound weird because I'm not black, but my kids are mixed. That's who I feel. No offense to white people, I am not racist against white people, but like so I tend to become friends with the black women, the black nurses and everything. And there was this one nurse that is so mean, and she treated everybody, the new people, bad, and if you were not white she treated you bad, and that's not acceptable. I turned her in. I don't care because that is
Mm,
not okay. And so what happened was she would make your life hell. The other nurses, like, how do you treat patients then? What's wrong with you? And it's like, it's just horrendous. So it's unfortunately, it happens in anything. I know teachers that are just like, should not be around children. But
you're
it's
right.
just it's sad. I don't know what the reason is, or if they've never experienced like hard times in life, or if they just like are bitter or mean. I don't know what it is, but it's not acceptable in any field. It's not okay when our job is to make you feel better. We should not be making you feel worse. That is
Mm.
not okay. And I wish I could fix it, but some people are just, I don't know, maybe they need to retire, maybe. I'm so sorry. If you're a nurse watching this, sorry. I love you and I hope you're a kind person. My sister is a nurse, and I'm pointing up because she actually came here from West Virginia and she's staying here. She got a job in Atlanta as a which Atlanta and West Virginia are way different, by the way. But she got
Yeah.
a job here and she is a traveler right now. And so her and I tell stories to each other and we're like, what is wrong with people? Because we're both caring and loving and we would never we don't think like that. We don't think like harmful or hurtful. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had the answer. That's a long answer to say I don't know, but maybe they just haven't been through things, or they're just a mean person. I don't know, but it's not okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they probably just a mean person. They probably just a mean person though, because
Not okay.
yeah, that's not okay. I wouldn't understand why you would just want to, be a nurse and just, be stubborn, or just being a, an ass to,
Yeah,
other nurses or to patients either though. So yeah, I think that is crazy. I've been in some scenarios where nurses were just like really, you got to be doing too much though. But what's your
I'm
biggest
sorry.
goal that? Yeah, what was your biggest goal that you would like to accomplish as a life coach, and also aiding to people who went through traumatic situations, and also who have PTSD also.
Yeah, so my dad was in the military, so I would love to eventually get some clients that have been in the military with the PTSD spectrum, and
Mhm.
but my goal is to take at least help like 5 to 10 clients a month just on an individual level. I'm starting group sessions. So I have a group session for grief um coming up, and then I have group for PTSD or trauma or whatever you want to say coming up. But some people really just need you to talk to them on a one-on-one level because that stuff is really personal. So I
Yeah.
want to help at least individuals 5 to 10 a month, and to really really see the progress and see the joy come back to them and see their families get back to what they were before, and for them to just be able to live. And again, the thing is, we all are going to slip up a little bit. We're all going to have those days where we're just like, I do too. Okay. I have days
Mhm.
where I'm like, oh my gosh, oh, it's so hard, but you got to be in that moment for like a moment. Take 10 minutes, be on your little sad pedestal for 10 minutes, and then you got to count backwards, breathe, whatever, take some deep breaths and pull up your pants and be like, hey, let's go. And so that gets to the point where I want to teach people, changing their mindset and helping them getting back to meaningful and purposeful lives again, because then you could be successful. Like, letting go of that stuff is so hard. It's hard to forgive others, but that's really what I want. That's my main goal, is to help with like them forgiving themselves too, because I was guilty. Like, I couldn't save my brother, and that's just me being, this is a lot of information. People are like, wow, that's a lot, but it is. But it's just me being real. And so not being able to save someone, that literally, that's what my mom called me, was to stop him from doing that. And I couldn't save him, but that's not my fault though, right? And it took me years to figure that out. Whatever he was going through in his mind, it's not my fault. And so it's, you've got to think of it that way, because otherwise it will eat you alive, and we don't want that to happen. So that's my main goal, is just help as many people as I can therapeutically just get back to living really good lives, and to where they can be happy, successful, and just be better than they've ever been. Like, and just get back to celebrating, like I said, instead of thinking about the worst things. You want to shift your focus and think, like, okay, so yes, with trauma, yes, this thing happened to me, but what am I going to do now? What can I do? We can write a book. We can do this. We can help so many people, right? So if you flip it and you say, ooh, oh, and you can make money from it. So now I'm helping other people by telling my story in a book, but I'm also making a profit from it. But maybe I'll save somebody's life, right? Maybe somebody
Mhm.
did want to commit suicide, and maybe I tell my story of, I've talked to so many people that have attempted it. And now maybe they'll stop somebody else from doing that, because they're sharing their struggles and how successful they are now. So the process of it shows like the growth, and somebody's like, wow, I can do that too. And that's
Yeah.
important.
I dig it. I dig it. Can you also speak on one thing that you
Yeah.
just said also to maybe some people out there, listeners and viewers who may feel like who's dealing with a traumatic situation and may feel like it was their fault. How do they deal with that, and and how did you also deal with that also?
Yeah. So, again, that is very hard. And that's something that I talk about is like the stages of grief, the different things that with PTSD. And so, one of them is like guilt. Okay. So even with trauma, we can have survivor's guilt, which is it's something that I've been through. And in accidents, like say somebody survives an accident, everybody else passes away, we have survivor's guilt. Or if it's a spouse or whatever the situation may be, even with illness. And all these things can cause both grief and trauma. And so when you feel guilty, I want you to write down exactly your feelings, like, so write them down. And so, say for instance, the feeling is guilt. So I feel guilty because I feel guilty because I feel good. I just said I couldn't save my brother, right? So that's why I feel guilty. I felt guilty because I wasn't in the same state as my mother. I feel guilty. So you write those things down, right? And then I want you to focus on the things that you could have controlled. Okay. So could you have controlled? Can you control that you're still alive and they're not? No, you don't have control over that, right? Do I have control that I lived in Ohio and they were in Maryland? No, I don't have control over that. Do I have control over his mental state? No. So when you start to see, like, it's not my fault because I didn't have control over these things, you're going to start feel the weight lifted off. Because once you see it and you hear it out loud, read it out loud. Read it out loud. Or I'm angry because whatever you're feeling. I feel guilty because I feel shame because I feel whatever, right? And I was in denial. Like I didn't even believe that my brother, or when I lost the baby. I tried to
Mm,
go back to work and they're like, no, you got to go on the ambulance. I refuse to go on the ambulance. I'm stubborn, okay? Um but and I felt guilty about that situation too. I lost the baby. So you have to take, first of all, take your time and don't let anybody tell you how to feel. Okay? Because this is your feelings and your experience. And even if we couple of us have the same experience, we're not going to react to it the same way.
mm,
So if if say two of us survive, this person and me, we're not going to have the same feelings either. So don't base it off of other things or outside things. Know how you feel and take time to feel like that. It's okay. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, but you don't want to live there and you don't want to be stuck. Like once you're stuck, your life can go and that's not good. So basically, anytime you're feeling anything, I'm telling you, writing it down and saying it out loud is a big reality. Like it helps you go, holy crap. Like I really went through that. And then, also think about what advice you would give to somebody else.
mm,
So, say for instance, I was in abusive relationships, right? So if your friend came up to you and said, "Oh my gosh, my man is beating on me. He's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this." What would you tell her? You would say, "Go, get out of here. You got to go. You can't deal with that,"
right,
right? So
right.
think about that. What would you tell somebody else that was going through that? If somebody came to you and said, "I think it's my fault because of this, this, and that," what would you tell them? And then that helps you. There's this coach, he's amazing. His name is Markwell. And he said that you cannot see the picture when you're in the frame, right? So it's your situation, you're in the frame, you cannot see all of the aspects of the picture. So writing it down and reading it out loud kind of takes you out of it a little bit and you can see it from a different perspective. So
Mm,
you're reading it, right? So if you hear it out loud instead of you're just saying it, but like even if somebody else reads it, then you're like, whoa, you know? And I
yeah.
think that those things are very, very helpful. I mean, it's just simple stuff, but it really puts it into perspective and reality.
Gotcha.
And it's
Gotcha.
not your
Well,
fault. It's not your fault. I just want to say that it's not. And you're loved, and things happen. There are horrible things happen in front of you. Things happen to your loved ones. So many things happen to you physically. If somebody ever hurts you, or God forbid, sexually abuses you, it is not your fault. I just want you to know that.
I agree. I agree. I like it. What inspires you? What keeps you motivated?
My family, and that sounds like a corny thing or something, like I'm getting an award. I would like to thank God and my family, but yeah. So honestly, my family, my boys that I had young, I had them at 18 and 20. They're now 21 and 19. I have a
Oh
bonus son and I
wow.
have a 9-year-old,
Okay.
and I have yeah. So I have a really good boyfriend, and he keeps going. He actually helps me feel more confident, because he's like, I think you can do this. And I'll say I want to do something. He's like, well, try it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, try it. And then I can do it. Right. So that really motivates me. And seeing the joy of people that I have helped, or even like listen to them, and how when they're doing well and they feel good, it makes me feel so happy to just see them progress and heal, and it's such a good feeling. So even with my patients, like if I've seen them again and they're doing better, or just being there for them regardless, just makes you feel so good.
Okay. Hey, that's what's up. That's really dope. I always ask my guests, what inspires me, because it's always something crazy going on in the world, but we got to stay uplifted and got to stay inspired
Yeah.
and keep going on, and also help each other, man, because we all we got at the end of the day. So we got to help each other. I dig it. I dig it. Danielle, having fun here. With Danielle here on the 11:30 podcast show. But we're gonna move on, you guys, here on the show. It's time for the 11:30 podcast, you guys. Hot seat, you guys. All right, Danielle. It's time for the hot seat. I got 6 questions for you. We're gonna roll
Okay.
with it. You ready? Okay. All right. Number.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. One. What has been your worst job ever?
Oh. Um. Oh crap. I'll say restaurant management. It was pretty bad.
Restaurant management.
I've had a lot of jobs though, so it's hard to narrow that down.
Okay. Okay. What was so worse about it?
Oh snap. What just flashed in my mind when I saw that fire was throw up. One time my cook refused to clean up the throw up, which I really don't blame him. So I went and cleaned it up because somebody had to do it. And stuff like that. And I wasn't in the worst neighborhood, but I lived in Baltimore area. So
Okay.
our Denny's was called the BWI Denny's. Shout out to them. And that place is so dramatic. That's where I lost my baby. I had my miscarriage there. I kicked by the owner of the place. I got punched in the face by a customer. I got pushed up in the air like this by a bouncer because he was racist. And he was racist against people that weren't white. And I stood up for everyone, and so he didn't like it, so he physically picked me up. There was just a lot of stuff that happened there. I had to break up a knife fight between the employees. The cook broke my ribs, real story.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah, so it wasn't fun. That's just
Yeah.
one place.
I get it. I get it. I used to work at a movie theater, so it's a
Oh
lot of
boy.
stories. A lot of stories, though. Okay, all right. What most disgusting thing you've done? What has been the most disgusting thing you've done?
That I have done. Okay. Or it could be something that happened to me. Could it be something that happened
Yes,
to me?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So ironically, just a couple days ago, I have the best friends. This is sarcasm. I don't live in Ohio anymore, and my friend decided to share a post of like a meme of I love Rebel Wilson, and she had poop all over her. And it says, my friend tagged me and said, remember when you got shat on? And so everybody that we used to work with is commenting, and it's hilarious. And she shares the picture. I was like, how fun. So yeah, so that's on the internet now.
Oh wow,
Oh
that's there
crap.
forever now. It's not
Yeah.
going nowhere.
Yeah. It
Okay,
gave me a
okay,
good joke though. So let's go.
okay. Money aside, what element of work gives you satisfaction?
Money. Oh, okay. So, well, any of my things that I do is just literally, like I said, helping people and being a support system for them. That gives me satisfaction.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay, what's something surprising that you were afraid of as a child?
Oh boy. Something surprising. I don't know. When I was little, I wasn't scared of nothing. I would rappel off the top of the mountains. I would do all kinds of stuff. But and go on the highest roller coasters. I think as a teenager, and then I got scared of like almost everything what people thought of me and like just stupid stuff. Like I was just afraid of everything. But as a child, I was tough and then I used to play football, like football on the concrete, on the grass, everything. I was a tomboy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I don't have a good answer for that one. I was just scared of everything when I became a teenager, and I was like, meh, a little wimp. I don't know what happened. I
okay.
changed.
Okay. Hey, that's good. Change for the better, though. I dig it. I dig it. What's the best? What's the best piece of advice that changed your view on life?
Hmm. I think actually it's not really advice, but when he said the you can't see the picture when you're in the frame kind of thing. That's really good. I mean, that's a great way to look at life is that you have to sometimes number 1 trust other people and let not, get so defensive because they can actually help you. Also, like don't feel bad because sometimes you don't know things, but you have to really change and you have to pay attention to everything. So sometimes you have to step out of it and just go, okay, well, this is what I bring to the table because there's 2 sides to everything. So I might have did something wrong, but I'm only seeing what the other person did wrong, like stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. Um, a cool saying that is really good advice.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Okay. If you could be in any movie, who would you be and why?
Oh, I've always wanted to be an actor, so this is hard. If I could be in any, okay, I think like a movie that's already existed or like a new
or
movie.
or a new movie?
Okay, so I want to be like, okay, like Eddie Murphy and all them that do their like 100 parts of themselves. Like
Yeah.
Mike Myers and all them. Like that's what I want to do as a female version. I want to have like a movie where I play the different parts, or I actually wrote a sitcom pilot, but it hasn't came out yet, but it's just about family and stuff. But like I think that would be fun where I could like because I love doing accents, I could just play a whole bunch of different roles and like, yeah, I would love that.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 You mentioned Eddie Murphy twice though. He got a movie out right now that's on Netflix called You People. Have you seen it?
No, not yet. I want to so bad because I'm in a
I
biracial relationship, so I really want to see it
It
too.
is good. Like
I
I
want to
haven't
see it.
finished watching it, so when you get a chance, definitely check it out. And it's
Yeah.
funny too. Like everybody is in it, and it's a biracial relationship
Mhm.
where Jonah Hill, I believe that's the actor who's
Yeah.
who's the guy, and yeah, his family is they Jewish, I believe, and
Oh boy.
I can't think of the young lady that he's dating her name, but
Lauren
um
London.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And Eddie Murphy, and they family, they are Muslim and stuff. So it is hilarious in how he tries to, get his dad on this. It is awesome. So I thought of that when you said Eddie Murphy a couple of times. So for everyone out there too, definitely check it out because I kept seeing trailers of it when on Netflix a couple of times when it was about to come out. So it's a good one. Definitely a comedy to check out.
Yay.
Danielle, I appreciate you so much for coming through here this week here on the 11:30 podcast. It was amazing having you on. It was awesome, and I thank you for sharing your story. To help others, and just it was wonderful, wonderful. I can't even find the
Thank
words
you.
to really express it. Before you go, any questions, any shout outs, anything you would like to say?
No, I just want to say, well, I guess if you need a coach, you can find me on Instagram, Authentic Points of View Coaching, and I also have a podcast page there, Authentic Points of View Podcast. And then Danielle Booher 82 is my regular Instagram, and then I have Danielle Booher on Facebook, and also a podcast one and a coaching one on there. I have a pod page, which is where all my episodes are. So I think it's like www.com/authentic points of view podcast. And then I'm on heal.me for life
Okay.
coaching. So heal.me, it's a wonderful platform. You can find anybody, massage therapist, psychiatrist, like anything that gives a service you can find on there, life coaches, just so many different things in different states, so anybody, like, what, no matter what state you are, you can find a provider, so it's a really good platform.
Okay, okay, gotcha. Once again, Danielle, thank you for coming through here on the 11:30 podcast. For everyone who's watching and listening, the links will be definitely down below so you can enjoy wonderful episodes of Danielle podcast and get at her and follow her on social media. Once again, this was great. Thank everyone for tuning in. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna wrap up the show. Once again, Danielle, thank you for joining me this week here on
Thank you so
the
much.
11:30 podcast show. Yo, we back here on the 11:30 podcast. Danielle, thank you so much for coming through here on the show, man. Great episode. Thank you for coming on, sharing your story, and just awesome advice. To helping others, viewers, and my listeners here. Who've gone through maybe traumatic situations and also PTSD, and also dealing with guilt and also survivor's remorse. And those were the words I was trying to look for. I just could not think of it at the time. But I thank you so much, and I hope that everyone who's listening, it can help someone. The links will be down below for Danielle. If you want to chat with her or whatever that, if you want to follow her, listen to her podcast, and just get some information from her, as she's a life coach. Definitely tap into her, man. That was really awesome, Danielle. Thank you for coming through here on the 11:30 podcast. But you guys, man, this has been one hell of a show. Before I wrap it up, man, this Friday, the 11:30 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling returns, you guys. Yes, this Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 Central noon. And the audio version will be available the next day. But you guys, man, I couldn't wait till Friday. I know it's 2 days. I know we gotta wait 2 days. But man, I just gotta give my opinion on what happened Saturday night at the Royal Rumble. Now, I know Monday Night Raw was off the chain, but Saturday night, oh boy. Now, I'm gonna make this real short, you guys. I'm not gonna make it long, because definitely tune in this Friday for the wrestling podcast. Main event, man, the greatest faction, the greatest storyline in professional wrestling, man. The Bloodline storyline. Oh my god, man! I'm telling you, it's like a good meal, man. That you was. Man, that thing was good, man. You had to rub your stomach afterwards, man. Come on, bro. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, the main event of the Royal Rumble. And Roman Reigns said, yo, this is going to be the time where you deliver your final test. And everybody was like, when is this? What's this test? What are you going to do? And then the kickoff, I thought it was interesting, too. After a whole night, they didn't do a backstage segment to get everybody warmed up and to get everybody ready for the main event. That little segment was on the kickoff show, and Roman said, you by me the whole way out there. And we get the match going, and end of the matchup, the referee get knocked down, and then guess what? Sammy, hand me a chair. He hesitated handing you a chair. Stunner to Roman Reigns. Like, everybody was really thinking Kevin Owens was gonna win it. I didn't think he was gonna win it by a long shot. But that spot where Roman threw him down on the steps, man, I was like, bro, KO, man, just stay down after that, man. Especially after the second one, though. But man, the match comes to an end. Roman retains, as you know. I don't think who would have, I don't know who thought that Roman would have lost that, but nonetheless, he retains though. And then after the match, they beat up Kevin Owens, handcuff him to the ropes, and Sami Zayn steps in between Roman and KO as Roman beating up KO and says, "Man, nah, man, we had enough, dog. Let's just come on, let's move away." All right, well, if you feel like that, you do it. You do it. And he didn't do it. Instead, Sami Zayn took that chair and slammed it into the back of Roman Reigns, man. I'm telling you, you had a picture side by side of when Roman Reigns got stabbed in the back by Seth Rollins when the Shield broke up versus the Sami Zayn getting a chair, Sami Zayn delivering a chair to the back of Roman Reigns. I mean, like, boy. And Sammy, and I'm so interested in what goes on Friday night on SmackDown and just where everything unfolds, man. But Sami Zayn was just like, man, I didn't want to do it, and I'm starting to think of it. I had a theory, and I was just like, what if Jay said, remember it was like, yo, man, I had to make a call. What if that call was to Sammy to do what he did? Because I noticed something. Yeah, Jay Uso, everybody was whipping Kevin Owens. I mean, besides Sammy, but everybody was whooping Kevin Owens' ass though. Jay Uso, Jimmy hit him with the 1D. But then when everything turned on Sammy, Jay Uso didn't move. And I thought that was interesting because people in the arena saw it even clearly. But until they put the camera on Jay, Jay didn't move. Jay had that face like, bro, like, man, I don't know. I don't know. Like, come on, man. I just vouched for this dude, and I didn't expect that to happen because a couple of months ago, Jay couldn't stand Sammy. He couldn't stand Sammy not one bit. So, a couple of months with he felt some oosiness going on. He got oozy enough, and Jay just was like, hey man, he in the group. He the right hand man, I guess, he be sticking up. He come and save the day. But I didn't expect Jay to sit there in the corner to do that. And I think that says a whole lot, man. That Jay in that corner, in his face, that was 3 years of freaking frustration all over his face. From his brother was injured, they wouldn't tag team champs. I know they tag team champs now though, but he had to fall in line with Roman Reigns. Like, bro, I was doing my own thing tag team though. Like, we didn't need you, Oos, big Oos. Like, and how he had to fall in line. And man, how he said, I hate, man, bro, I'm pretty sure a lot of that stuff is buried deep down in, man. You feel me? And it's gonna really implode. We are on the road to WrestleMania. I just had to share my thoughts and opinions on that. More on this, you guys, this Friday for Talk Pro Wrestling. Thank everybody for tuning in, for everyone who tuned in to the live episode of Talk Pro Wrestling this past Saturday, right before the Royal Rumble, man. It was awesome. We're gonna dissect it all, man. All things wrestling. What's going on in AEW, everywhere, man. So it's amazing, man. So definitely, I'm this is the road to WrestleMania. Cody won it. Look here, I'm ready, you guys. But man, this has been a dope show. Thank everyone for tuning in, everyone for listening. Once again, shout out to Danielle for coming through here on the 1130 podcast show. But before I go, you know what time it is, you guys, man. Don't forget to follow the 1130 podcast on all social media platforms. Follow me on Twitter at the 1130 podcast, even though I just haven't been on Twitter a little lately, but I appreciate it a lot. Like the 1130 podcast on Facebook, so you also get notified when the 1130 podcast will be going live. 2023, I made a promise on the third year anniversary episode that I will be going live a little bit more. Trying to do my thing though. But also follow me on Instagram at the 1130 podcast underscore, and follow me on TikTok at the 1130 podcast. You guys, yes, man. Here at the 1130 podcast show each and every Wednesday, man, delivering some great vibes, dope guests, man, and inspiring and keeping everyone uplifted, man. And we having fun, man. It was another fun episode, another fun episode to go. There's more to go, man. I'm so excited. I'm about to go ahead and leave one out of here. You guys, man, a new episode of Beyond 1130 returns next week. I see you guys next time here on the 1130 podcast show. Yo, it's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels. You guys, man, and I'm out.